Hello? Hello everyone, today we will continue to look at the content of HCI Cloud Computing. Previously we have already introduced the 3 different service models of cloud computing. Next, let's take a closer look. Regardless of the service model, we ultimately need to deploy it into an actual environment, right? As for the deployment environment, we first divide it into 3 types. They are public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Let's first take a look at them one by one. First, let's look at the public cloud. As for the public cloud, as the name suggests, it is a public resource, MRC, similar to a public resource, KB. However, it is actually provided to us users by our cloud service providers. The most basic voice infrastructure. It's equivalent to a supermarket. As long as you meet the conditions and have money, you can come here to purchase what you need. Cloud computing resources, for example, nowadays, like Huawei Cloud, Amazon Cloud, Microsoft Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, etc. These are some of the well-known public cloud service providers worldwide. As for public cloud, firstly, our advantages are actually quite significant. Firstly, the user base is very large. Why do I say this? It's because, from a cost perspective, public cloud is very suitable for small enterprises or individual developers to purchase, because whether it's small enterprises or individuals, they might not have enough funds to build data centers or purchase servers, right? First of all, you need to be aware that if you want to set up your own server, it's not just about buying a server and that's it, right? First, you need to have a basic data center. Data center servers. Then you need a reliable power supply, electricity, and some network facilities. All of these actually require a certain cost. It's not a small amount. It's not just about buying a server and being done with it. If it were just about buying a server and being able to use it, then anyone could do it, right? Anyone could set up their own server. So in this case, public cloud services are very friendly for small businesses or individual developers. Because with public cloud services, you don't need to build anything yourself, like data centers, servers, and so on. Because here, it's like directly providing you with what? At the very least, it will provide you with infrastructure to a system. From infrastructure, network hardware, resources to the system. It's not free, but once you purchase it, it will all be provided to you directly. This means that you only need to spend a small portion of the funds, and you can directly enjoy this. It's similar to the effect of having servers in a data center. Moreover, the better part is that if you set up servers in your own data center, there are certain risks. What risks? Well, firstly, power outages, internet disconnections, etc. A series of issues, some unexpected incidents, which can also be considered as accidents. However, if you purchase products from these larger cloud service providers, they generally offer 99% uptime. After that, what won't happen? Well, you won't experience any unexpected failures. No unexpected failures will occur. This is actually a significant advantage in stability. Moreover, you don't need to spend any time on maintenance. You can just use it. You can log in directly and start using it right away. Whether you purchase, as we mentioned in the previous session, different types, whether you buy cloud servers directly or specific cloud services like databases or other services, other types of storage services, regardless of the type of service. We don't need to spend any extra time on management. We just need to use it. This is one of the advantages of public cloud. In contrast, there is private clouding. Private cloud is essentially owned by the enterprise. The advantage of enterprise ownership is what? The advantage is that it offers high security and high privacy. The external world cannot access some of your internal resources, meaning it is completely what? Completely an independent internal cloud platform. This type of setup is relatively strict in terms of data security requirements. Right? Typically our financial institutions, government departments, and so on. Xu Yun's words can provide a customized security protection measure. Mainly to ensure that data is not illegally accessed from outside. It's now to guarantee the security of our data. At the same time, enterprises can also adjust the overall structure of some of our cloud services according to their own business needs, including some workflows and so on. Because the infrastructure within our private cloud is entirely private to your enterprise. You can configure it however you like, and managing it is not a problem. This is one of our... The advantage of a private cloud. Of course, there are advantages, but there are also disadvantages. The cost of your private cloud is relatively high because everything from the cloud platform to the infrastructure is borne internally by your enterprise. From the data center to deploying servers, to building a virtualization platform, to setting up our cloud computing platform, all these series of tasks are entirely borne by the enterprise itself. In fact, generally, small to medium-sized companies cannot provide this. Or they are unable to bear such a burden. The financial pressure of this, so generally, this is something that large enterprises, for example, large enterprises, or some relatively wealthy companies, would undertake. Use this method, because the enterprise needs to invest a large amount of capital to purchase hardware equipment. And also to hire some professional teams for daily maintenance, including some scheduled maintenance of the data center, etc. This is our private cloud. Of course, compared to the public cloud, the main advantage of the private cloud is its security, primarily in terms of security. So, if I want both security and to reduce some of my financial pressure, is it possible to achieve this? Yes, it is possible with our final option, the hybrid cloud. Actually, as the name suggests, it means mixing private cloud and public cloud for use. It's that simple, to sum it up in one sentence. Of course not. Of course here. It's quite important. Some sensitive operations, we can deploy them where? Deploy them within our enterprise. For some operations, in our private cloud, that need to be public, such as deploying websites, promotional sites, etc. Or some apps and website applications. These definitely need to be public. If you deploy these on your own servers, it will cost quite a bit of money. So you can put these on the public cloud. For data that can be public, and isn't very important, you can place it on the public cloud. More important data can be kept locally within the company. However, this approach is relatively more complex in terms of handling than the previous ones. It is more complicated than both public and private clouds because it involves two different clouds and two different overall architectures. In this case, what is needed is management capability. The management capability needs to be relatively strong, or you need to hire some professional teams to manage the overall hybrid cloud architecture. So these three above are actually our cloud computing deployment models. How to choose specifically. The same as the three we discussed in the last lesson. Right? Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. How do you choose? It depends on what you need. It's the same here. Public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud depend on what you need. If you are a small to medium-sized enterprise or an individual, actually, don't worry about the security of the data. If you don't have the money, you can just choose the public cloud. If you want to talk about security, at the very least, you need to have confidence and money in hand before you can discuss security issues. So, if you are concerned about security, you can choose a private cloud. But if you are concerned about security and don't have that much funding, and you can only secure part of the data or part of the business, then you can choose a hybrid cloud. However, hybrid cloud, relatively speaking, is more complicated to configure. It's like using more complex configurations to save money. It's equivalent to offsetting part of the cost of a private cloud. This is the situation, and these are our three different cloud platforms, three different deployment models. Okay, this is the content of our lesson. If you want to learn Washington technology or obtain the Chinese certification question bank, please send a private message. You can also leave comments below the video for technical exchanges. Alright, we'll stop here for today, everyone.